Welcome everyone to the Nerd Nook. I'm your host Evan Teak. With me, like always, is Noah Bailey. So we have just a ton of Marvel specific stuff to talk about, some other stuff too, but just a whole slew of just stuff happening in the MCU front of things. And right at the top, earlier this past week, there was this article from Variety that came out, and with it came just a slew of rumors slash reports slash whatever you want to call it that kind of makes it seem like the MCU is not doing all that well right now. Again, none of this is necessarily like confirmed or anything, but a lot of it either feels like something that just that makes sense, or that's not surprising, like that type of thing. And right at the top, probably the one that had the most headlines associated with it is the fact that apparently Marvel may or may not be actively looking at replacing Kang as this phase big villain, potentially going with someone like a Doctor Doom or someone else to kind of fill that role.
Mm,
Specifically saying after the bomb that was Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, they were planning on phasing him out with someone else, which I think is very dumb personally.
I mean, my whole thing is with the whole changing the belt. Like, if this is for the whole off the screen Jonathan Majors issues, that's
Mhm.
one thing, sure. But if this is a reaction to, oh, the movie sales aren't doing well, I don't think that's a good move.
Right.
Because, I mean, yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp didn't do amazing, but at the same time, I don't think that means, oh, this movie didn't do great. Let's just redo the entire, like, phase, and I don't think that's really gonna. One, I don't think that. I think that's gonna make things worse, not better.
Yes.
And two, I don't think that's really the problem
No,
with what's going on right now.
absolutely not. Kang was not the problem with that movie. In fact,
No,
before the stuff that came out with Jonathan Majors, which is a classic, in a classic society fashion, after everything came out with him, people were like, "Oh, he's actually always been a bad actor." When no, he's actually great. But like before that happened, everyone was saying that he was the shining point of that movie.
agreed.
Like it was a little underwhelming the fact that he did get beaten up by a bunch of ants and then lost in a fist fight to Ant-Man, who I feel is a bit, you know, maybe not the best showpiece for this new, Thanos-esque phase villain, but like whatever. The acting and just the presence Jonathan Majors brought to that character was really good, cemented even further with his portrayals of at least Kang variants in the two seasons of Loki that we currently have. I feel like, especially since Loki is, obviously the show's not over yet, so something could happen at the end of the season that essentially could be a thing where like he could continue, or we could just pretend that, you know, is. I could easily see Loki having a thing where at the very end of this season, something happens where Loki goes back in time to stop himself from, or to stop Sylvie from killing He Who Remains,
Mm-hmm.
or when he does, or they do kill him and like Loki takes over, or like something like that, and essentially, like resetting everything so that Kangs aren't a thing anymore. That could happen.
I don't.
I
Do
don't.
you really think that's gonna happen?
You've
Because this was
how many episodes of Loki have you seen?
honestly, I'm still on like the second episode.
What? Really?
I know. Yes, really, I know. To be fair, I got nothing. But still,
Okay. So,
I know a lot has happened. I
but
know
yeah,
I'm missing out, but
yeah.
still, I will catch up.
Trust me that Jonathan Majors' performance in that movie, in that show so far, of the Kang variant we have, has been pretty like I like him quite a bit. And there was something that happened at the end of episode 4 that like kind of made me thinking like, oh, is it might be a bit of a stretch, but I feel like this happening could potentially kind of cause Kang variants to like exist like at multiple points throughout the timeline. I can't really go into much more details about spoiling stuff, but like I could easily see them being like, even if something happened at the end of the season to seem like he stopped the future from happening, that moment in episode 4 could like they could use that to be like, oh, they're still out there or something. Um, but regardless of all that, I really don't think just cutting off the entire idea they had for Kang to be the main villain, I really don't think that's the play. Like you could,
No,
this is the most
it's no
easily
way.
recastable character in the face of existence, considering infinite multiverses. Even if every
Right.
single version of Kang that was there at the end of the after credit scene of Ant-Man, an equal number of identical Kangs can also exist who are doing the same thing. So who just happen to look a little different. Like
Right. I mean, especially with Loki's show, we've seen like even in the last season, like there not every Loki looks the same, obviously, so not
mm-hmm,
every Kang looks the same, and so
exactly. And it's gonna be really annoying when if this is if the if Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania bombing is the reason why they pivot away from Kang completely, it's
no
gonna be really
way.
annoying if Ant-Man and the Wasp show up in a future Avengers thing. It's like, oh, why did they get to stick around, but Kang is the one that they that they take away? When I feel like Kang was the one that was holding that movie together. I don't know. That just feels a little short-sighted to me if this is true.
Yeah, I don't believe that's true, and also like it doesn't really doesn't yeah it doesn't make sense. Like you said, like that was no, I don't think that was the problem with that movie at all. It just
Mm,
kind of wasn't. I don't know,
yeah,
but
it it is kind of funny that according to this Variety article, their their supposed the thing they're kicking around is potentially replacing Kang with Doctor Doom, which considering Fantastic Four is coming up, considering the original Secret Invasion comic did heavily focus on Doctor Doom as the main villain. Like it would be kind of funny if they accidentally like position themselves to actually make a comic accurate version of Secret Invasion, but that wasn't the original plan. Or sorry, Secret War, whatever. Yeah, Secret War. Like obviously everyone loves and wants Doctor Doom. We want Doctor Doom in the MCU, but having him as a backup plan feels wrong to me.
yeah, especially if they're kind of like shoehorning it in, it kind of feels like they could potentially just kind of like phone it in, kind of, I guess.
Yeah,
Like, be like, oh, well, it's our backup, so we're just gonna, oh, everyone likes Doom. We'll just throw Doom in there. And it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, if you're gonna do Doom, you gotta do it right.
yeah. Especially so this part of this has actually been confirmed. Apparently, um, Marvel was not happy about the fact that it was some mandate from like someone higher up saying that they needed to go ahead and announce all of those movies. They went ahead and announced. I guess it was last year when they announced Secret Wars, when they announced Kang Dynasty and Blade and all those other movies that were not coming out in several years. Marvel was not happy they had to go and announce that because if they hadn't announced that a movie called Kang Dynasty was the next Avengers movie, they potentially could, you know, pivot away from it easier. But if they're still sticking to that, then it just it's not surprising that Marvel would be annoyed that they had to go and announce 12 other movies ahead of time when we knew for a fact. I called it up front. There's no possible way Secret Wars was coming out in November 2025. No.
No.
Why would
Like
they?
it's
Why?
not.
Why? Why would they bother? It was delayed like a couple of weeks later. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, like there's no way.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I get like like I think they could. But again, I don't think they're going to panic and throw away their entire God, what is the phase villain
Mm,
and Avengers villain over, especially over one thing. Now, if it had
yeah.
been like 10 things where it's just like this Kang thing ain't working, that's one
Mm,
thing. But like you said, I don't think Kang's really been the problem. I think it's kind of
no.
more been a lot of stuff is either just not having to do with other things or the writing for other in other areas wasn't amazing. I don't think it's like a yeah, this was great until Kang showed up.
Yeah.
I
Like
don't think anyone would have said that.
there are so many factors that caused Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania to not do super well. First and foremost, Ant-Man as a brand is not that strong.
Mm,
Like Ant-Man and the Wasp is their highest grossing movie at like 650 million. It is not, even by MCU standards, that is not that high. So, and considering that was like the one right after Infinity War, so you kind of potentially had a bump. It still didn't do well at all. So people who you know didn't don't care about Ant Man aren't going to see Ant Man 3 solely off of it being an Ant Man movie.
right.
Two, there is I've been on record saying that I feel like superhero fatigue as a concept is a bit overblown, but I feel like this year specifically it kind of has caught up to itself because just in the first half of this year alone, we had Ant-Man the Wasp: Quantumania, we had Shazam: Fury of the Gods. Neither of those did well at all. I feel like even Guardians 3, which did fantastic, like 840 something, which is great, better on par with other Guardians movies. I wouldn't be surprised if it came out a year prior, that would have been $1 billion movie. But because people have just gotten tired of superhero stuff, you know, pretty much every superhero thing has been brought down a little bit. So I just feel like there's a couple other factors as well that just make it seem like that movie was just always not going to do the best at the box office, and none of them was at the time Jonathan Majors Kang's fault. Yeah. So singling
Agreed.
him out, we need to replace him seems a little shady to
Yeah,
me.
especially when he's only really been he's only really been in like like really like I mean Ant-Man and the Wasp and like Loki now, but I mean other than that he
Mm-hmm.
hasn't really been in a lot
Yeah.
anyway. So I feel like you can't really blame him.
Mm-hmm. Which theoretically, because of that, you could kind of argue like every Kang that that has shown up, has. Like, I'm trying not to spoil Loki season 2 for you, but like it's kind of at a point where like if you wanted to stop with Kang stuff now, either people haven't like seen as much because it's a show, or Ant Man, flopped, and also the Kang from the movie they may have seen, he's maybe dead. So like, if you don't continue the character, people might not actually care. But if you did bring him back in a very, very strong way, I think people would care. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and like I yeah, I mean, and again, I know we already said this, but like again, I just don't think that's the problem, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why this feels weird. Because again, how does Kang, you know, is the Kang the reason that people haven't really been into a lot of these Disney Plus shows lately? I mean, I don't think
I don't
Kang is
think
the
so.
reason people didn't love She-Hulk, or Kang's the reason people didn't really love I mean, really, just like I mean, even like Eternals or going back, like all these other
Mm-hmm.
things going on. I don't think it's like, oh yeah, man, Kang should have had a better show. It's like well, he's not in the movie, so I don't know what you want. Like,
Yeah,
and you can't be like, oh, well, he's the villain, so he should be in every movie. I mean, Thanos was in like what, two, three after credit scenes. That's
yeah.
it before Infinity War. So it's
Uh-huh.
kind of like that's not really it. I mean, I feel like it's kind of just people aren't.
Hmm.
I don't
But
know.
then again, we kind of have like this is the multiverse saga, and we've had like four projects that are kind of multiversy,
Mm-hmm.
and the two of the ones that are very explicitly multiversy, No Way Home and then Multiverse of Madness. Kang
Mm-hmm.
didn't show up in those, even though he was already
Right.
established in Loki already. So like
Right.
he could have shown up at some point in some capacity. I just now a lot of
I'm,
that was scheduling issues. Those movies were supposed to come out before Loki did, so like
mm-hmm.
maybe they just weren't ready for it, and I get that, but I don't know. I just feel like the very strong, tight planning that the entire universe has had up to Endgame has just kind of not been the focus, and that's a little
Agreed.
disappointing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, are we, if we're doing this, are we doing this right? And like, I guess the hard part is like, yeah, the like, I think the issue is the worlds don't feel interwoven anymore. I think that's the issue. Like, I
Mm.
think that's the biggest problem. What's going on?
Yeah.
I don't think it's Kang. I don't think it's superhero fatigue. I think it's literally just, well, we're doing a lot of things over here and over here and over here, and we're not, and we're so used to things being connected, and now nothing's connected.
Hmm. Like I really think if they could go back in time and do these phases over again, I personally would have focused phase 4 on establishing like what comes after the legacy of the original six. Because
Hmm.
what happened to Iron Man? Oh, either Rhodey or Riri, Ironheart. Either like they're established as like the new Iron Man now. Captain America, Falcon's now Captain America.
That's America.
Hawkeye, new Hawkeye.
Yeah.
New Black Widow. Thor is still doing his own thing. And then She Hulk. You can even like, but because
Yeah.
you
I mean,
also had Moon Knight and Eternals and
Shang-Chi
Shang
and
Chi, who I like that movie a lot, but maybe it was a little early to to do that.
I mean, maybe, but like, I guess not necessarily because I don't think there's anything wrong with having it. I guess it's just more of, are we just not going to follow up? I guess is the
Yeah.
thing. Because it's like, I get that we need time and you can't have a movie for every character every year, but it is kind of
Right.
like, okay, Shang-Chi, that was what, 2021?
21, yeah. But
Yeah, we're kind of,
you can't end every single movie with the 10 rings will return, Thor will return, Star Lord will return. And like I don't even know or care anymore if they will. Like maybe, but it's going to be a while before they do.
yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of the thing. And my thing too about it too is kind of like, the whole they will return. I'm like, well, if someone, and at this point, if someone doesn't die, kind of implied they'll return because
Yeah.
it's Marvel. So it's like, I think that's stinger. That's their thing. They want to
Mm.
announce that, but it's also kind of like, I mean, well,
But
yeah.
the,
I mean,
the I feel like that really only works twice. Once when the first time they did it from memory, when they did it with Captain America, whereas Captain America will return in, and then it showed the trailer for the first Avengers movie. That was
right.
cool. And then Thanos will return. Like that's funny. That is very
Yes,
funny. I like that a
that
lot.
was great. That was great. No, I did really like the Thanos real return, just because, like, for one, it's just like, ha,
Yeah.
but like also, but also,
Now the other
it's kind
heroes
of
will, but he definitely will.
right. It's like, I don't know about the rest of these guys, but I know Thanos is doing all right,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Which is, is what it is. And then also the other thing too, I like is just like with that, I think it's kind of, you kind of knew the next movie was, it was kind of a obvious one because the next movie is another Avengers movie, so it's kind of
Yeah.
just like, okay, well, yeah, of course he is. Not maybe in the capacity we thought, but that's neither here nor
Mm-hmm.
there. But yeah, but anyway, yeah, I kind of think it's just, I think within the last like the last 5 or 10 years, like from the like Civil War era to like the end of the whole Endgame thing. It's like we're used to everybody being connected. Like
Right.
Marvel movies need to have at least 2 different characters to feel real. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a letdown when it's not like a crossover now, basically.
Yeah, because there are so many times I'm watching a show or watching a movie, and I'm like, it would make sense for this character to pop up here. Like, it would make a lot of sense for Bucky or or Hawkeye or any a lot of characters that show up in Secret Invasion. There was someone in Moon Knight. Oh, Blade. I think you probably could have introduced in Moon Knight if that show were focused a little on something a little different. I like the show as it is, but I feel like if you were actually fighting vampires, like he maybe should have been, you throw Blade in there. Another instance of this character will return in the Eternals. That after credit scenes,
gosh, I forgot about that.
Like you had Mercer Ali off camera speak to Black Knight that this guy will return. That movie's not coming out for 2 more years now.
At least.
I got 4 years for this character I don't care about to come back in this movie.
And that's the thing. And that's the thing. This character who wasn't even a character in the movie we just saw. So I don't really think he's returning if he hasn't shown up yet, to be fair. And then it's all, yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, like Doctor Strange, I know there was a reshoot for this not to happen due to COVID, but Doctor Strange probably should have shown up in WandaVision.
Definitely. At least at the end. I mean, I know they had the double vision thing, which was kind of. I mean, it's not like I guess that's not really. It's not like a cameo, but I don't know. That's supposed to be doing something also. By the way, White Vision is supposed to be around here somewhere.
Yeah, like that show is maybe canceled, but he should show up at some point in something. Like, I don't know. Like, there are so many times in any given Marvel or in any given Marvel show or movie where you're watching, it's like, this character should show up here. And the fact that they're not, even though I know for a fact this movie is about this, the title main character, why isn't this other person also here? Because if it is to exist in this bigger world, it should at least be referenced that they should be here. And when they're not, you're just, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I was like, why?
And it's not even like everyone's in New York thing. It's like this would make total sense. It's weird that this person's not here.
Right. Like, I don't know, it might be a little contrived, but maybe Thor should at least have a cameo in Loki at some point outside of the memories.
Or someone else, yeah.
Like some other Asgardian, like, I don't know. I don't know. So, kind of move on to another. Actually, speaking of the pickup with Blade, apparently, Blade, to the surprise of nobody, has had some major issues with production. I'm sure that is one of those movies they highly regret announcing when they did. That was announced in 2019 or something. It was a while ago.
Well, they said that was on that list when they had the next 15 projects or whatever, right?
So that was actually announced, in the first D23 after or Comic-Con, whatever, after Endgame. So I think it was 20
right.
2019, yeah. Because that was when they were like, Black Widow is happening this time. This is when Falcon Winter Soldier is coming out. Their first slate of shows was announced. Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness was teased there. And also Blade, Mahershala Ali, after the success of Green Book, is like, I specifically went to Kevin Feige, he's like, I want to be a superhero, like maybe Blade. So I guess it was super early production, that's fine, whatever. And I guess COVID, made stuff delayed, but it was announced for a 2023 release, and that was oh yeah, we'll get it done in 4 years. It was supposed to come out yesterday. Like this past Friday was supposed to be the day it's released. We're supposed to be seeing that by now.
I mean, to be fair, COVID.
Yes. But
But
COVID's been over for 2.5 years now.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, it's like stuff was still like backed up. You gotta kind of
Yeah,
catch up, I guess. But
I guess.
yeah,
But
I mean, like, and the thing too is like, there's no word, no progress. We don't know if this is still.
yeah,
I think that's more of the thing.
according to this Variety article, Blade has had just incredible rewrites. Just so many different creatives leaving and coming, and just to the point where Mahershala Ali threatened to leave unless there was a good script. So like, okay, they got the guy who wrote Logan to come in and do rewrites, and he's happy with it now. Which hopefully the guy who wrote Logan can make a good superhero movie.
Let's hope so.
Apparently, one of the scripts that was that 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 Mahershala Ali was not a fan of, apparently essentially had Blade as like the fourth main character. Like there were three
Huh?
other characters that were focused more on than the main title character. I don't
Who?
know. What
Why?
the Black Knight?
The Black Knight.
Like, no, you're not. We're not doing this.
Like, it's a Blade movie. Don't do this. Like,
How hard is it just to make a cool movie where a cool half vampire dude kills a bunch of other vampire dudes?
it
Like,
seems very simple.
I don't know. Like the stakes don't need to be that high. You just have to have like, a 90-minute fun dark action movie with a lot of blood.
Yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
Yeah. But they can't do it. It's now slated for 2025 because they haven't really started making the movie yet.
Yeah, I mean, like, granted, yeah, there's nothing else really coming out then, so it's whatever. It's or not coming out then, but like, there's nothing else. Like, there's nothing. There's other things coming out
Yes.
now, so you can wait time there later. But at the same time, it's kind of like the sign that there's no progress is a bad sign. This is like the Flash thing all over again, where oh yeah, this is gonna happen. No, this is totally gonna happen. This is totally still happening. And then three writers, two directors, like all later,
Yeah.
it's still happening.
At least with Blade, I'll give it somewhat of the benefit of the doubt. COVID did halt progress, and now the writers and actors strike is also halting stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if like they at least had something, like a decent enough script, and they were maybe going to start filming soon, but the strikes, which maybe will be ending soon, the last and final best offer has been submitted, so maybe they'll bite. I don't know. We'll see. But because that happened, they couldn't either do rewrites or they couldn't like get the stuff they needed to get done before shooting started. So because the actor strike isn't over yet, they can't confidently say it's going to be come out next year. I get that, but it's still not ideal that this movie was announced in 2019 and just hasn't come together yet.
Red flag. I mean,
Yeah,
honestly,
especially since Mahershala Ali isn't exactly a young actor. I think he's almost 50, if not older.
Ooh.
That was like not a concern, but I noticed that when he was first announced as a character, it's like he's already a little old. Like these guys, ideally they would want they would want these characters to be around for a while if possible. But yeah, he's 49 years old now.
ooh.
So if you want, potentially multiple Blade movies and a Midnight Suns thing, and him to show up in future Avengers things,
You better hurry up.
yeah.
Well, yeah, and the thing too is, I mean, again, I know movies can make, can do movie magic and whatnot, but I'm like, if he's gonna be doing Blade, I assume that's gonna have some pretty intense stuff in it. Like, might need to be a little
Yeah.
loose with it, but I don't know how that's gonna look either, because I feel like that could easily be done poorly if not addressed. But I guess we'll have to see.
Yeah, I don't know. And the last major rumor that this is definitely the one where I'm like, I'm not going to believe it till I see it. But apparently, according to this article, the the executives over at Marvel are kicking around the idea of making another Avengers movie with the original 6 Avengers actors.
What?
Yeah. Again, I don't believe it until I see it necessarily.
No, I don't believe it at
Like that
all.
sounds like I could easily see a thing where one executive like pitched the idea and they didn't like say outright no, and the Variety article, which was already dogpiling on this other this other doom and gloom stuff, was like they were even considering bringing back these already established dead characters to make a new Avengers movie as like a last ditch effort to save the franchise. Was like I don't know about that.
No, I don't. Yeah, no.
like like the actors might come back, in a multiversal sense for Secret Wars, maybe.
I mean, that'd be kind of cool, but honestly, like it'd be kind of cool, but also would feel weird because it's like we had this ultimate send off, and
Mm,
I know it's not the same characters per se, but it's like I don't know. I guess it would be kind of cool,
yeah,
depending.
and it would, for the record, it would be kind of true to Marvel, just comics in general, to have a
No
character
one's
die
really
and
dead.
then just bring back, just randomly
Yeah,
come back with it.
no one's just really dead. Just like
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that is true, but
I mean, for decades, there was a mantra of the only characters that stay dead are Uncle Ben and Jason Todd, and then Jason Todd came back. So, anything's possible.
anything is possible.
Yeah. So, I am still, still optimistic about Marvel stuff. It's not, although I will admit, it's not surprising that behind the scenes, they're kind of freaking out a little bit because they're pouring so much money into these movies, so much money into these shows that aren't necessarily pumping up Disney Plus numbers as they were hoping it would. These movies aren't making as much money as they were hoping they would. So it's not. I'm not surprised, but I still think there is time for them to, you know, if they actually do need to regroup and focus up on what actually they need to be doing to make this better. We'll see if they do that.
Let's hope so.
Yeah. And part of the reason why I'm like, not super, doom and gloom about this is the show that no one even thought they wanted or knew about or cared at all, based on the character who just showed up in Hawkeye and we all kind of forgot about, Echo. Uh, the trailer for her series came out, and that looks really good.
It does. It looks intense. It looks fun.
Mhm.
Like it looks really good. Like it looks like a really just gritty like show. And I really like the effect, which I think the implied effect of like when the fight scenes that go down, that we're just gonna not hear anything and it's
Mm,
just gonna be blows, which I think is gonna be really cool.
yes, yes. Like there was just a lot of just cool stuff happening in that trailer that felt like, I know when we talked about Blue Beetle, I brought this up, but I feel like more superhero things should keep stuff low stakes, and this feels very low stakes, like maybe city
Hmm.
level threat at biggest, but I don't even think
Yeah.
it's going to be that. Like when you're dealing with Kingpin, when you're dealing with stuff that Daredevil related characters should be focusing on, you don't need to make it any bigger than that, and I think
No.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. Keep it a Hell's Kitchen level threat. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah, but the action that we got looked really cool. Like there was that little towards like scene at the end that looked like one track shot of her beating up those couple of guys and just,
Hmm.
yeah, it's
Kingpin looks really good still. So like
yeah, like Vincent D'Onofrio just, it's just killing it, literally, and and metaphorically as Kingpin. Like, it
He's
is.
killing it, as you see.
It does. I know what happened in the comics, and I think it's done there too. I feel like she probably shouldn't have shot him in the face at the end of Hawkeye, just for him to be brought back in her show. I feel like that that made me feel like they weren't confident they were even going to get an Echo show, so they went ahead and put that at the end of sorry, they weren't confident they were getting an Echo show, so they put it at the end of Hawkeye, and then like, oh, we actually that got greenlit. Okay, I guess he's going to be having an eye patch now, which again happened in the comics, but I feel like that was supposed to be like her big like, the resolution of her character to directly go against him, and they already used that bullet, and they so I don't know. It's gonna be. I hope the show actually lives up to the trailer, and if it does, it looks like it's gonna be pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it did look really good so far. Like, I'm really impressed. And like, again, like you said, something low stakes, something that I didn't really expect to get much out of it. It's like, oh, I actually really think this looks good.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
And it's only gonna be 5 episodes, which makes me feel like it's the kind of thing where they specifically like wrote 5 episodes and just like if in a way that kind of gives me the opposite impression of something like Hawkeye, where they had to fit it into 6 episodes, where instead they I don't think they were like, you have 5 episodes. I think like we wrote a solid story that took 5 episodes to make. And they're dropping all at the same time on January 10th.
nice.
So, yes.
I do like. I think that's big too, because
Yes.
I think just letting it go and let people find out, like, hey, this is actually awesome.
Yes. It's also good because they're not gonna pull another She-Hulk where it's entirely the fans, the fanboys' fault. But several of the trailers for She-Hulk did focus on Daredevil, and he didn't show up until the very end of the show. And people are like, "Where's Daredevil?" The first 4 episodes, you're like, "He's clearly not here yet. Shut up!" Like, he'll get his moment, and then he did, and that was a good episode. Um, but so we're not gonna wait through maybe 3 episodes of this probably very good show, but because Daredevil isn't in it, they're gonna think it's bad. If you're just dropping it all at the same time, they don't have to wait for it. So that's
Right.
yeah. So yeah, that's something to look forward to the beginning of the next year. So cool. Something else I'm looking forward to that's coming out next year, but it has definitely gotten delayed again because of course it did. Deadpool 3 has officially been delayed, and it's rumored that Captain America 4 will switch places with it as originally planned.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
The original plan was for Captain America to come out in May, Deadpool to come out in either July or September or something, and now those got switched back because they're not done filming Deadpool yet. So, again, it's kind of the thing we expected to happen, did happen, but it's what you know.
I mean, again, the whole thing with Deadpool is like, look, this can be really good, so let's not rush it. Let's not waste this opportunity. Hugh Jackman says he's coming back. Let's not ruin this.
Yeah.
So, we let that go. And then the thing too is like, they switch places. It's better to be like, oh, we're just changing this than just, oh yeah, indefinitely we're backed up.
Yeah. It's better
That's
than
when you're
being
like,
like everything is getting delayed.
right.
Which happened with Black Widow. Like, because Black Widow got delayed, we had to push Shang-Chi, and they had to push, like, thank goodness that's not happening.
Right. It's like we're still on schedule as a group. We're just switching the order, which is fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm still very excited for Captain America 4. It's one of those things that could very easily be very messy, but also the writer team behind it seems to be pretty good, so I trust them to make a solid Captain America movie, but we'll just see how it turns out.
No, let's hope so.
Yeah. And one thing I forgot to bring up when we're talking about Echo, so apparently for more like for more focused, like probably like grittier stuff, they're gonna be putting stuff like Echo under a completely new banner called Marvel Spotlight.
Okay.
So it won't have like the traditional Marvel, I guess, it won't have the traditional Marvel like MCU logo come up. It'll be Marvel Spotlight, and then you go from there.
Okay. It's like the Star Wars story thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This does kind of make me a little angry about the fact that this show is going to be the first rated R or in a mature rated MCU project, and it's coming out like just over a year, almost 2 years, 2 years after Moon Knight, which Moon Knight needed, like that was like it should have been rated R. It was begging to be like more than it was, and
Yeah.
and like it just missed the window to be. It was
Yeah.
I liked it. It was good. It just missed the window to be great, but
Yeah,
whatever.
and it would have added to the like mystery, like shockingness when things happen. Like just like him just like went back and just covered in blood or just like
Right?
all this stuff. Like he was just like, oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Like
And considering just how powerful an image, even just in that trailer, Kingpin's, bloody hand on like that white suit, like
mhm.
that's such a powerful image. To have this completely all white thing covered in blood, like that's Moon Knight's whole thing. His suit is very white, and like he gets all in there. Like they just couldn't let him do it. Um, but hopefully, if they decide to bring Moon Knight back, if they want to, I have a feeling that Daredevil Born Again is going to also be under the same banner. It's probably going to have a similar vibe. Um, yeah, but just the fact that MCU is now more willing to do rated R stuff is very good, especially since Deadpool and Blade are coming up soon. Like those will definitely be rated R. So that's
Right.
good to
And
know.
you don't have to worry about it because it'll be in the Marvel spotlight thing, so that'll be perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Like it'll still be in the connected universe, but it'll be allowed to be a little more than other MCU stuff is allowed to be. So
Right.
that's good. Um, Moving on. Apparently, a fifth Thor movie is in early development with probably a new director.
Interesting.
Yeah. Like, I. So, the main issue people have with, or the main reason, objectively speaking, Thor: Love and Thunder didn't do all that good. Like didn't resonate with audiences, didn't do well at the box office, just wasn't as good of a movie as Thor Ragnarok, even though it had the same director. Was for Thor Ragnarok, Taika Waititi was the director, but he had two other writers who were like the main writing team who actually wrote the script and stuff. Most of that movie was still improv, but at least like the main story was not Taika Waititi's doing. For Thor: Love and Thunder, Taika Waititi was both the main director and screenwriter. So it's one of those situations where clearly he can make a very, very good Thor movie if there's other people who can kind of check him.
Right.
If those people aren't there, things can get a little out of hand, I'll say.
Mm.
So I'm all for a new director having a new take on the character. Even Chris Hemsworth would like a new tone for the franchise. But I think just visually, Taika Waititi, even Thor: Love and Thunder had some very gorgeous, visuals to it,
Mm-mm.
and just the action sequences I thought were very, very good. But who's to say another director couldn't do, also a really good
Yeah.
job? So, yeah, I'm not going to say no to a new to a new Thor movie. I mean, the after credits thing did say Thor will return, so it's got to at some point, right?
Yeah.
um, so Yeah, it's kind of funny that Thor, of all people, who people did not love the first two movies at all,
Nope.
he's getting 5 movies. Sure, why
Yeah,
not?
I mean, well, it's like he gets a research. He gets his he gets a trilogy after the first two because he gets like a mulligan, I
I
guess.
guess. Yeah. I still do think there are other Marvel characters who either deserve, multiple movies or should be focused on more, but or brand new movies. But like, regardless, I'm all for a new Thor movie. Um, we'll just another one of the things that hasn't actually been confirmed, but it's probably happening. So
Hmm.
cool. Um, I think that's all the Marvel stuff. Oh, one more thing about Daredevil, real quick. So apparently, we said last time that Daredevil Born Again is going through a complete restructure. Apparently, wasn't that good, so they just completely redoing it, probably to come out in 2025. And the director of the Punisher show and the director of the Punisher show will be the showrunner because Marvel is now doing showrunner for their shows like they should have been doing. Um, and the Loki directors will be the main directors of the show. So that sounds like some good people that should be making more Marvel stuff. So
Right.
yeah, yeah,
More have make sure the direction and like saying the story stays where it needs to go and not just we got here and now we all want to do this now. So
yeah, yeah. Like say what you will about Loki, I don't really think many people have that many negative things to say about it, at least from what I've seen. But like, I feel like just visually, it looks really good. The character writing is very very solid. Just the pacing and structure of each episode is very very good. So I think that team can make just in general could make a very very good superhero show. So yeah, let them do Daredevil. Why not?
mm,
Um, Couple more things about Disney in general. Inside Out 2 officially has a release date, that being next June, June 14th of next year.
woo.
Yeah.
Yes. Very excited about that.
I think it was one of those things where they originally had another movie at that spot, which there's even been trailers out for this like space, for like a Pixar movie set in space. I don't even remember what it was about. But that movie got pushed to well after this, but this got moved up to June. So cool. We've been waiting for a while now, and I'm glad it's
Yeah.
finally happening. Yeah. And last bit of Disney news. Uh, Apparently, Disney is set to fully buy Hulu for $8.6 billion.
I thought they had Hulu already.
They so when they purchased Fox, they technically gained a majority share in the company at like 40% of the company, but they didn't have like full creative control of the entire brand. I think because there's like other, it was like over 50%. They had a majority share in it, but they didn't outright own it. I guess like any profit still had to be given to these other people. Like any big decisions still had to go through other people. But so there's like, we're just go ahead and buy it outright. We already bundle it with everything anyway. We already basically own it. Might as well just own it. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they just have an extra $8.6 billion flying around. Why not just own it?
Also, this must be like a lot for Hulu. I mean, I know inflation, but
But Hulu feels like if whenever there's whenever there's new graphics of all the different streaming services, and here's how many people have all the different services, Hulu is always weirdly towards the lower end of people owning it. I think it's like 40 million people have Hulu, and over 100 million have Disney Plus, Netflix, Amazon Prime, and think HBO.
Mm-hmm.
So like those numbers can get really big, and then Hulu's over there at like 40-ish million. Yet I feel everyone has it, but I don't know how that works.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, most people I know have Hulu, but
Yeah, like it's. I mean, obviously Paramount Plus and Peacock are below that because no one has.
yes, no, no.
But like, I guess Hulu is doing good enough. I guess enough people either enough of the people that have Hulu. I'm trying to think. I wonder which version of Hulu makes them more money. Do you think the tier with ads or the higher tier without ads makes them more money?
Probably the tier without ads, I would say, because I think people in general are tired of ads, and like, and also too, like, there's that Disney Plus Hulu bundle
Mm.
also, and I think most people got Disney Plus before it had ads.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're getting the bundle with Hulu, you can't like. I mean, no one's gonna go to my Disney Plus and Hulu will have ads. I'm not doing that.
Yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. Like currently, I'm really close. Luckily, there's nothing on Hulu right now that I'm actively watching on. But like, if I were to like, if there was several shows on Hulu I wanted to actively binge, it would tempt me because the Hulu every single time there's a commercial break, it's the exact same three commercials
Yes,
every single time.
and they know, and that's their plan. Like they know what they're doing.
But
They're like,
but showing the same three commercials is not going to make me want to buy their product more.
no,
Like, I don't know how that works on anybody.
it's not even the commercials like are trying to advertise. It's just the commercials are trying to make you not want to see them.
Right? Like same with Spotify, which I have Spotify Premium and Hulu like bundled together
Mm.
somehow still. So if I wanted to get the higher tier of Hulu, I would need to cancel the joint subscription and buy them both individually for way more money. I don't want to do that. Like I cherish Spotify way more because
Yes.
Spotify started, by the end of me having the Spotify with ads, every single ad was just an ad for Spotify Premium.
Which is so weird. It's like, man, these ads stink. You wouldn't have to hear me talk right now if I had
See,
Spotify Premium. And it's
literally
just,
stuff like
no,
that.
why
So
are you
annoying.
like this? But that's what I mean. Like, they're not even ads for ads. It's ads just to make you hate ads
Mm-hmm.
and be like, I'll do anything I can to not have to listen to this garbage anymore.
Right. So yeah, I'd be willing to pay the extra $5 for Hulu if I could just upgrade while keeping that linked with Spotify, but I don't think I can do that. So I'm fine how it is now, but I don't know. I guess Disney valued it at 8.6 billion, so sure.
I mean, good for somebody, I'm sure.
Yeah, it is a little annoying, actually very annoying, when you know not just Disney, but like a lot of companies these days have just like seemingly weekly. There's a new report of some major multi-million-dollar company having massive layoffs, even though they're having record quarters.
Hmm.
Like Disney was one of those kind of recently. Yet they have 8.6 billion they're lying around for Hulu, a thing they already own.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, you're like paying all billions of dollars to fully own something you already partially own. It's like, dang. But
Yeah, but oh well. Um, okay, last bit of news I have here. It's kind of a funny one. So, so randomly, last week, the Robert Pattinson Batman costume was randomly added to the Epic Store
yeah,
version
I
of
heard
Batman
about this.
Arkham Knight.
Yes.
And then within hours, it was taken away.
Gone. Yes, I remember. I heard about this, which is crazy because I just bought the whole. Like, I rebought the whole thing on the PlayStation Store. Like, it was on sale for like $5 for like
Mm,
all three games,
wow.
DLC, everything on the PlayStation
Hmm.
Store. But yeah, I heard about that. It was just randomly just added and then just gone.
Yep. So the prevailing theory is that Arkham Knight is coming to the Nintendo Switch later this year,
Hmm.
and that's probably going to come with that version. And once it comes to the Switch, it'll come to everybody. And somebody at Epic just flipped a switch too early, I guess.
Yeah.
Just okay. Like not much to it. I just find that funny.
No, it was just weird because it just happened randomly. There was no anything. It was
Yep.
just like no announcement, no,
No
hey, this could be
acknowledgement from
happening. Just,
Rocksteady or anybody.
yeah, like somebody was just playing. It was like, huh. And then it just, it just got, everyone found out. I wonder if it's like, if you got it while it was up there, you still have it versus like,
I don't think so. I think the way it was worded, it was taken away completely.
okay.
But it looked
I'm
good.
like, I mean, I wonder if they have the Batmobile on there too, because that's something they usually
Oh
do.
yeah, yeah,
That would be kind of sick.
that'd be cool. Um, yeah, that so when it does officially, I think it's December or something when it comes to Switch. It'll be probably brought back to everything else. So that's something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, there's still just one little aspect of that costume I don't love. Just the way I think it's on like the upper arm. There's like a design on that. I don't love. And just like I think it looks good overall, but just I'm looking forward to how the Batman 2's costume will look because I assume he's gonna have an upgraded suit for the next movie.
Probably,
Yeah,
yeah.
like this suit looks good, but I want to see version 2 of this. So
Right.
yeah, yeah, I think that's everything I have to talk about. Anything else you want to bring up or discuss for tonight?
Just next week, the Marvels. We
Yeah.
will be checking it out to see how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited because I'm going to go to a new theater I haven't been to, so I'm very excited about that.
Right, right. And
And
you need to get caught up on Loki.
I know. Because you said the finale's next week.
This Friday, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got it. Oh yeah, it's
Yep.
already Sunday. Yep,
Mm-hmm.
gotta get watching. I'll get caught up. We'll be
Ideally,
ready.
next week we would talk about the Marvels, talk about the Loki finale, and then maybe
Okay,
the Invincible episodes that are out.
okay,
So
can do.
yeah, cool, cool. So with that, we will see you all next time.
Take care, everyone.